Landing a role to be remembered by is something most actors work towards their entire career. A role which displays their talent, craftsmanship, and popularizes them in households. Child actor Jaleel White would find such a role in 1989 when he first appeared on Family Matters during the 4th episode as Stephen Quincy Urkel, also known as Steve Urkel. The instant success of Urkel would take the then 13-year-old actor to icon status before the show's ending. The Urkel brand would become a global success, earning its own cereal, games, toys, and dance. Even years after Family Matters would go off air, Urkel's influence has continued to live on. However, despite the success of Urkel, the same couldn't be said about White, as his acting roles following the hit sitcom wouldn't reach the same success. Here's why Urkel sabotaged Jaleel White's career. Born an only child in November of 1976 in California, Jaleel White's career in Hollywood would happen rather quickly. At the age of 3, after being suggested by his preschool teacher to look into the business, White's parents would take the young Jaleel to a casting call in Los Angeles, and there he would land an agent. Upon landing an agent, opportunities began coming in for the 3-year-old. White would land a Jell-O commercial with Bill Cosby, an Oreo commercial, and more soon followed. For the years after his early start in the business, White would appear in a series of major commercials. It was in 1984 that the actor would land his first TV appearance on the sitcom The Jeffersons. And 1 year later, White was back on TV with a recurring role on Charlie & Company as Robert Richmond. The show would star legendary comedian Flip Wilson and singer Gladys Knight as a middle-class black family juggling career and family life. White would play the couple's 9-year-old son. Despite what appeared to be a promising show, Charlie & Company would be canceled after just 1 season. However, White's appearances on TV would continue as he would land more roles, and in 1989, his biggest role would happen. That year, ABC would premiere a spinoff of the sitcom, The Perfect Strangers. The show would follow the tradition of The Cosby Show by showcasing black family life on TV. The series would follow Harriet Winslow and her police officer husband Carl in Chicago with their family. Jaleel White would get to appear on the show, but according to the backstory, he was only supposed to appear on the show 1 time. During the taping for the 4th episode of Family Matters, White would take to the screen as Stephen Q. Urkel, the school nerd who happened to be matched with Laura Winslow for a school dance. According to White, during the taping of his debut performance, the live audience instantly fell for the clumsy character and began chanting Urkel. It was like all white kids from some college. They started chanting the character's name in between the scenes that I wasn't in. After that past weekend, I got a call from the producers. They said they were bringing me back and that they made a deal with my agent for the rest of the season. At his first reading with the regular cast, he got an extraordinary scream with the first line out of his mouth. And it wasn't that the line itself was necessarily one of his funniest lines, it was just the way he did it. I leaned over to my partner, executive producer Robert L. Boyett, right then and said, "This kid is major. We've got to sign him." White would find his home. I had braces on my mouth when I was a little kid and when I was 12 years old. I didn't have any interest in the business anymore. I had already been in the business for 9 years. Go in for a call for this nerd, 1-shot deal only. It's an audition, but I kind of got psyched for it. I can do it. I got braces on my mouth. So I went and did the call. For some reason, my mom dressed me up completely as a nerd. The glasses that you see. My father's a dentist. I told my dad to get me some black glasses with tape in the middle. My dad, as a procrastinator, didn't do it. So he gave me his glasses, which were partly prescription, so my vision was a little jacked up the first week I did the show. I must have been possessed in the audition. This was my version of a nerd. Even though he's clearly a nerd, he's not the everyday average picture we get of the guy with the pocket protector who walks around talking about math problems all the time. He's not boring. This nerd really has flair. He likes cheese, he likes bugs, he likes computers, he likes Laura. He really likes Laura. He's the kind of guy who gets into anything and gets crazy about it. He gets into all types of mischief and doesn't even know it. He's one of these people who just have fun. If people around him insult him, he doesn't even brush it off because he doesn't know there's anything to brush off. He doesn't look around and check whether he should or shouldn't do something. He's like a small kid, because real small kids, they do what they want. Much like the live studio audience that instantly fell for the character, so did viewers at home. Family Matters would eventually find itself in the top 20 for ratings on TV, and Urkel was credited as the reason the show was saved. As the ratings for the show continued, producers realized how profitable the Urkel brand was. Cereal, dolls, board games, shirts, and glasses hit the shelves, and its merchandise generated revenue outside of the show. The Urkel brand was a highly profited venture. In 1997, ABC would make a deal with CBS to acquire the rights to Family Matters, a deal involving Step by Step for $40 million. As the rising Urkel took over TV, it slowly became revealed that White began struggling with his character's cult-like following. Some actors often do their best to avoid the phrase typecast. This is when an actor becomes strongly known for a character and it strays. The problem with typecasting is that it can be limiting for actors who aim to take on other roles. But viewers and producers struggle with seeing them separate of what they become known for. Urkel's global success would end up blinding White's potential acting roles, and he became very aware of the issue. So much that he purposely started distancing himself from the character. When Family Matters went off air in 1998, White began doing everything he could to separate himself from the role that made him famous. When we moved to CBS, I didn't think the character at that point could grow anymore. That was the only year, the 9th season, I didn't feel the character in my heart. In an eye-raising interview with the New York Times in 1999, Jaleel went on to say, "I let him die. I've got a mental tombstone for that character. I've got lots of flowers around it, but that boy is dead." The bottom line is that the studio machine had a lot invested in Urkel. They sold that character for a decade. You think you can go on and break that in a year? No way. If you ever see me do that character again, take me out and put a bullet in my head and put me out of my misery. You never get credit for what you do. You get chalked up to being cute or cuddly, and you're never treated like your adult counterparts. They come along and get production deals and do other shows. And with the child, it's like, send him a bite. A lot of times parents will see me on the street, grab their kids, pull them over and say, look, Urkel. And the kids just look at me like, huh? I can't tell you how happy that makes me. At this point, it's very rewarding not to be recognized. In 1999, following the Family Matters, Jaleel was on a mission to show that he was more than Urkel. The UPN network would end up picking up series Grown Ups, starring White and Dave Ruby and Marissa Rabisi. White would tell UPN that he would do the series only if he could also produce. Despite starting with relatively decent ratings, Grown Ups would only get past 22 episodes in one season. I really chose a path after Grown Ups of doing different things that I hadn't tried before, and just trying to take on those challenges. I had already lived a professional career since I was 3 years old, and because I was in my 20s, people who were my senior relegated me to intern status in their mind. I kind of had to start over. It was a humbling experience. Since the ending of Grown Ups, White would go on to remain consistent in the business with small roles while graduating from UCLA, but would struggle to find another role as impactful as Steve Urkel. How is it that this undoubted, talented actor has not been further pushed by Hollywood to be in theaters? Despite the challenge, White appears to want to prove he has more to offer than what viewers saw on Family Matters. So when people want to talk to me about typecasting, I'm like, don't talk to me about typecasting before you give me the opportunity to work with some of the finest writing there is out there. In 2018, he would finally have another chance at primetime TV back at CBS for the show Me, Myself, and I. On the show, White would play best friend and business partner of the series' main character. Unfortunately, for White, the show also wouldn't make it past the first season. Branding for an actor is being good. Whatever you did, was it any good? Denzel Washington. Words from Denzel Washington and a sad reminder of what happens when an actor's projects don't hit the mark. Still to this day, White continues to be reminded of his past role on social media, with floods of reminders of how people connected with Urkel. But hopefully the actor who had an early momentum since he was 3 will one day be stopped in the streets for an entirely new performance. I don't miss playing Urkel. I really don't. I'm not trying to get away from it or anything like that, but I don't miss the role at all. Really. I just want to work. I want my daughter to say, I know what my daddy does, not what daddy did. I'm still chasing that one Vanity Fair tag that says, this guy's a versatile actor. I accept it. It's fine. But for me, it's like, what do I have to do to get that?